In case you're just joining us, it's still Nigeria's #1 financial newsroom, The Money Show. Joining me right now, my guests, two gentlemen with me. So I'll start my introduction from my immediate left. His comrade Balami Isaac David. He's of the Nigeria Rebirth Project, National Coordinator of the Nigeria Rebirth Project. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to the program. Rotimi Olawale is my next guest, of course. He's the Executive Director at Youth Hub Africa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
Very good.
The economic weather, how is it affecting you?
Well, we are coping very well.
You're coping, isn't it?
Making us think better.
Oh, it's making us think better.
Yeah, it is.
Why did you say that?
Because for the first time, there's no free money around. I mean, people have to think. You have to be creative. You have to think of how to solve problems. Otherwise, you'll go hungry.
Otherwise, you go hungry.
Yeah.
So the current economic weather is making Nigerians more entrepreneurial, isn't it? Is that what you're saying?
That's how I see it.
That's how you see it?
I mean, that's my personal view.
Personal view. In terms of it makes you more creative, because if you're not creative, you will just go hungry.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Oh, okay, that's another perspective. But is it nice that the economic weather isn't really favorable? Let me start with Rotimi.
Well, I think it has both its upsides and its downsides. If you talk about free money, not the entire country knows what free money
is. That's another. Did you have free money? I've never even walked along the road and saw money. You're on the floor.
You know,
I wish I could.
But the aspect of the economic downturn that has effect on everybody, you know, Nigeria's growth has reduced significantly. We're now at our lowest growth since the advent of democracy. And if you go to the market, I was watching the show where you show people complaining about the increase in price of food prices across board. Even if you invite a plumber to your office to do a field work, he has jacked up his prices. He would say the dollar rate has increased, and you're wondering what has dollar got to do with your business. But the fact he also goes to the market, his own prices has increased, transportation has increased, and so it has effects over everybody in the country, generally.
Isaac, let me come back to you. You said free money. Explain what you meant by free money, actually.
You see, basically, I mean, when things are very, very tough, you need to think. For youths in the country, I mean, I've seen for the because I mean, I've been the national president for aircraft pilots and engineers for the past 7 years now. And I'm also the chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum Youth Congress. I also coordinate the activities of the Nigeria Rebirth Project. And in all these things I've done in the last about 10 years now, I mean, there's no time where I've seen youth this creative. I mean, on a daily basis, youth jump into my office in Maitama or in Lagos, and all I see is new ideas. And that's one side I'm saying. I mean, what is happening is not good for the country. This is like we are like in a stagflation, whereby, I mean, this only happens during war, but as an individual, I also see it as an opportunity, because when there are challenges, if you look through it, you will see an opportunity. So basically, it is my belief that the government have a serious role to play in this whole thing. You see, basically what is happening is that we often see government as they want to provide the solution. I think it is obvious that government is actually part of the problems to be solved. And in doing so, a lot of things need to be done. I mean, people have to come on board. We just need to think outside the box.
This is another interesting perspective that you just brought in, that we look to the government for solutions, but it seems that the government has also
they are part of the problems. They are the problems. They need to be solved.
How do we go about that, especially looking at May 1, celebrated as Workers' Day, so to speak? You saw a lot of workers, the ritual of marching past the governor in their various stadia and states. And I saw at least 3-4 states that I observed over that weekend. And like in Cross River State, after marching and all that, the governor, I think Ben Ayade, did say, oh, your accounts have been credited for the month of May. NLC and TUC are demanding for a 56,000 naira minimum wage. Edo State says that the minimum wage now will be 25,000 naira. Bearing in mind that the Edo State governor will soon be out. I think he just has the next few months, if I'm not mistaken. And what came to my mind at that time is, okay, fantastic promise. He was a labor leader at the time, so he will want to appeal to his peers. But the thing is, he's going out now. I do know that Edo State is, I think, number 3 or number 4 on the IGR.
And they've grown in the last couple of years.
And they've grown in the last couple of years. But I'm taking a look at the sustainability when he lives with the current economic weather. Do you understand the picture I've painted? So what's your reaction?
I think over this current situation that we found ourselves is an opportunity for states and even the federal government to have deep reflection. It is now obvious to Nigerians that without oil, a lot of states cannot survive. And states are now beginning to look deep into how they can jump up their internal generated revenue. And that's why you see a lot of states now going into that, looking inwards and see how can we move IGR forward. But unfortunately, the most difficult time to jumpstart IGR is when the economy is in cold as it is at the moment, because a lot of workers have not been paid. Economic activities at many states are coming to a lull, and so you want to increase IGR. But it's also an opportunity for states to also look at what are the specific strengths that each state carry. We have a lot of states in Nigeria that have tourism potential that has remained untapped for quite a long time. Very recently, we've seen the efforts of the Bauchi State governor trying to promote the Yankari State game reserve, which is one of the most fantastic places in Nigeria that can be well packaged. So states are beginning to look inward to see how can we raise Edo State. Over the last 3 to 4 years, Edo State's IGR has significantly increased.
I think
if
in
you
the
look
last
at the IGR table,
it grew in 10.95%,
which is fantastic. If you look at the IGR table, it's uncalled for that Oshu and Bayelsa State would have similar IGR. Bayelsa has lots of companies, including IOCs or oil manufacturers. So it's
surprising also to me. Sorry to cut you short. That Bayelsa is owing salaries. I needed to say that.
Exactly.
you know, when I saw it, I was like, really? So Bayelsa is owing salaries. How many of them are in Bayelsa? How many people are in Bayelsa? Yeah. Actually, what's the percentage of the workforce in Bayelsa?
Exactly. Which shows some of the priorities of this state government this state government over the years. Then when you now juxtapose the new demand by labor for salary increment, a lot of people have weighed in back and forth. Some people say it's uncalled for, it's unjustified. Other people have said over the last 5 years, because the Minimum Wage Act says the minimum wage can be reviewed every 5 years. Over the last 5 years, inflation has risen. We're now in double-digit inflation. Cost of living has increased. How do you want the workers to cope if you don't want them to pay for government resources? But the workers also need to justify this with what government resources are available, because you cannot make demands in vacuum. You already know what government resources is saying now.
Where do you stand?
Where I stand now is that government and workers need to come together to say, how can workers continue to support government to raise revenue? And IGR is one way. If you look at Nigeria's tax, people paying tax in Nigeria, it's one of the lowest, even within the continent. Let's not talk about outside the continent. Compare us to Rwanda. Compare us to Kenya.
Our tax to GDP ratio is really
It's
low.
one of the lowest. So we can have significant improvement. Minus government workers who automatically their tax are deducted, and big multinationals who, of course, they also obey most of these laws. Many small to medium-sized enterprises do not pay tax. And you can start a tax regime where you can make tax easy for them to pay.
But good, you just also hit the nail on the head, because perhaps in the future, very, very, very soon, I want to get the FIRS chairman, because you're talking about getting more people into the tax net.
Yeah.
We're looking at the tax to GDP ratio is still low. Yeah. We have a lot of small scale businesses in Nigeria, or a lot of informal businesses in Nigeria. Perhaps 37 million of those SMEs in Nigeria. The thing is, have you simplified the process for them to pay tax? That's one. Number two, the process of even acquiring the tax clearance and all those things, are they really simplified enough? As a small business owner, what are the funds or monies that you need to pay to make sure that you are getting tax clearance, or you're getting your documents to bid for more jobs or for more contracts?
It can be quite cumbersome. I have friends who run a 1-man, 2-man, 3-man business, who have 2 or 3 staff. They want to pay tax. But this process of go to the tax office, sometimes it's difficult. They send people over to your office. Many times even the tax officials come and harass them, we want to see your records, we want to see this. People are willing to pay tax. The other question people are asking is, what are we paying tax for? The road in front of my house is bad. Electricity is not stable, and guess what? The bills, electricity bills, have suddenly jumped off 2 times over the last couple of months. Electricity is not stable, and all of these surmounting challenges. How are we sure that when I pay my tax, the tax is used for the common good of the entire
government
nation?
will say first, pay first.
Well, people are saying the resources you've had at your disposal, we've
Yeah.
not seen you use that judiciously over the last few years.
What do you have to say? You know, because you said something that the economic weather has brought out new creativity.
That's true.
That's on the other side. You see, but you see, talking about what NLC and TUC is actually demanding. I mean, like I said, I was elected about 3 years ago as the spokesperson, PRO of TUC, national. And I'm still the aviation president. Now, having discussed with workers and their employers across the country in the last 7 years, what I can say is this. You see, whether you pay the lowest minimum wage, I mean, even if you peg it at 50-something thousand naira, the point is an average Nigerian is poor. If you pay 100,000 to the lowest person, we are still poor. Because the environment, everything is just not it. And that is why the government has a huge role to play. If I'm earning 100,000 naira, how much will it cost me to pay for my rent? Housing is one issue that workers need. When you talk about transportation, it's also a major challenge. You now go into health, no matter how much you've saved, one day you just fall sick, or your child will be sick, and you spend all what you've saved for the whole year.
How many people are even covered by the national health
Thank you very much. Even if it is covered, how effective is it?
Even how many diseases are being covered?
Yeah, how effective is it? So I think, I mean, it is good. I mean, what NLC and TUC is asking for, I mean, it's due, because every 5 years, I mean, it is due for review. The question is, just like my brother here said, it is high time for the employers and the employee to come together to discuss way forward. I give you a simple example. Aero Contractors Airline will have been gone. As the aviation president with my ESCOs, we sat down one day about some years ago when the whole crisis started. And engineers and pilots, we told the owners that, okay, we are going to cut off our allowances. And personally, I was losing about 90,000 naira every week from my income. And within,
you must be earning a lot.
Yeah,
you must be earning a lot to be losing 90K in 1 week.
Well,
not 1 month, though.
In a week. I'm an aviator, so so within the space of about 1.5 to 2 years, my association alone saved about 2 billion naira for the company. Now, when everything got better, we went back, and now we are getting back that allowance. The point is that the environment has to be created. Part of the major challenge, you see, we look up to the federal government and state government or local government to provide the jobs. I mean, the private sector needs to be empowered. The environment is so hostile. I give you a simple example. Airlines are now sacking people. I mean, First Bank, I was told that, they are rendering their staffs. The point is, and yet, the environment, you will see the companies complaining. Bank of Industry, Bank of Agri. Do you know that 500 hectares of land can employ staffs more than a ministry in this country? There are issues that we're not even looking at. Just 500 hectares of land is bigger than a ministry.
So perhaps the workers are justified in terms of asking for what is due to them.
Of course they are.
If a worker works, the wage is due to the person, isn't it? Even my Bible tells me so, that when someone works, pay the person his or her wage or her salary, because there's even a blessing attached to it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, even if you pay the person, this money is like...
It's nothing.
It's nothing. It's nothing. Electricity, is it... I mean, just mention one thing that is...
So the workers are justified asking for that
They
wage.
are justified, but you see, even when they get what they're asking for, the environment have to be created in such a way that people will feel that, yes, I am earning something.
You made a very salient point when you were talking that it's not even about the money, because if NLC or TUC is asking for 56,000 naira now, or if they're asking for 100,000 and perhaps the government pays and all of that, and average Nigerian is still poor. Because you take the 100K or the 56,000 naira minimum wage, you go into the larger society and it evaporates, as it were. But the question also is, are we just only concentrating on the public servants or civil servants, or those? Can we also talk about the private sector?
Exactly. I mean, if you look at the nation's budget, we have, give or take, about 1 million public servants at the federal level. Right now, recurrent to capital expenditure is 70 to 30.
30%.
If you jack up salaries to 56,000, I'm sure that you're going to send that rate back to around 85 to 15 or 80 to 20. We have a population of 180 million Nigerians. 1 million or thereabouts Nigerians are public servants. So capital expenditure is where you can...
They are not just 1%.
Exactly. So
of the population.
I mean, so capital expenditure is where you can demonstrate the basic amount of goods to the largest amount of the population. So that's why I said you cannot demand for national minimum wage increase within a vacuum. You have to look at what are the current realities on ground. You know, Nigeria currently has huge infrastructural challenges, and if we have better roads, if we have rail services running between Lagos and Abuja, all of us benefit, including government workers and the public sector. And more than that, you also infuse private sector to produce. If government start to sign contracts for road construction, you will see private sector companies and their support services start to hire more workers. Construction companies will hire workers. You will see small-scale services going to provide food services, provide laundry services within these spaces. So the economy will start to bubble up again. So what we are saying is that as much as I say that the demand of the workers is not is within line, but they also need to look at the current realities and sit within government to say, how can we agree to say, while the economy is in such a state that the national minimum, the current call for an increase, it might not be currently justified, how can we then say that we want to work with government to increase revenue to a point where we can then increase salaries over time?
Okay, I will come to the issue of if, okay, it's like both of you agree that Nigerian workers are now adequately remunerated,
I agree.
Isn't it? But my next question will be, how productive is a Nigerian worker? So ruminate over that while I take some tweets, because a lot of people are commenting on today's our program, tweeting me already. So let me take a few. Hope says, the truth is that when the government approves this minimum wage, there will be inflation in the economy. Austin Okoro says, when my dad was ill at the National Hospital, they charged us over 100,000 naira to save his life. How much is an average Nigerian salary? Okay. Austin says, 18,000 naira is a joke in today's Nigeria. I am sure the government can do better than what we are. We are worth more. While Roman says, seriously speaking, things are so costly and salaries will not go up to balance the inflation. I think we need a white president. Are we white people? All right. Continue to send your tweets. At least we have the next 30 minutes to the end of the show. Productivity. Are Nigerian workers productive? You know, because I just came back from the U.S., of course, one of my trips to the U.S. And one thing I've realized about that country is that time is money. Yeah. When you go for a program or something, at least for the few that I've gone for, you know, I hardly have time even for myself there in the United States, because from like 7 o'clock, 7:30, you are programmed till the end of the day. Till the end of the day. In fact, your lunch time or your lunch break is programmed, not the one when we say we are having lunch here, everyone will go. Some people will even leave the seminar or the conference and go. So it's like every second counted. And at the end of the day, when you are being remunerated for, you are remunerated for every second that, in fact, I got talking after the IMF spring meeting, World Bank IMF spring meeting, that Sunday, when Nigerians were like the last people that left the media center. So we're just interacting, and immediately I saw the production people, they've entered the place, they've started taking off all the facilities, the wires, and one American guy got so curious and was asking, where are we from? This, like, I'm from Nigeria. He said, really? I said, have you traveled out of America? I said, no. I said, the Americans, you hardly travel out, you know? So I was like, okay. Before I knew it, he went on Google, he asked me my name, he put my name on Google, he put the country, oh, okay, it's an oil country. But when I got talking with him, I was like, okay, how long did it take you people to? He said, they do this every year. In fact, if it's out of the US, they ship everything there. Yeah. Then I said, how much are you paid? Then he told me he's paid $50 an hour, and he works 10 hours a day. That's $500 a day. And I asked him how old he was, and he told me he's 25. Are you married? He said no, but he's having a trust for his daughter. And I was like, you're not married yet, you want to have a trust for your daughter? I said, yes, I'm planning towards it. I really want to save $100,000. Now I've gotten a quarter of it. And he told me a whole lot about the society in terms of productivity. Are Nigerian workers productive? That's another thing. See, do we appreciate time? Are we productive, really? Are Nigerian workers productive?
I think if we want to be really, really honest, you cannot just say yes or no, because we have different sectors. From the sector where I come from, I would say that Nigerian workers are actually productive because we work per hour. For example, I give you this for free. There's a challenge. We have a national culture. Then we now have the corporate culture in each organization. It depends on what you want. If you have an organization, because you can't give what you don't have. If I employ you today and I expect you to be a good secretary, I need to train you. The point is, do we believe in training and retraining? Only few sectors. And most cases, even when you do that, it's because it is a requirement. Maybe it's a regulatory requirement that if you don't do it, then work doesn't go on. So we cannot also claim that we are that productive. The point is, an average Nigerian is not that productive because we waste time. African time, name it. I mean, there are people that work for only 2 or 3 hours overseas. And that 2-3 hours, they don't play with it. Because they have, so yes, in some sectors we are productive. In some sectors we are not. But nationally, we need to, we need to infuse this issue of being productive from our primary and secondary school curriculum up to university. Whereby you grow up knowing that this is how you should work. This is how you should behave. National etiquette. People are not, the way we behave is not normal to the way other people behave. So for me, I would say, in my sector where I come from, and in the company, my company where I run, that God has given me, I would say my workers are very, very productive. In my association, they are very, very productive. Everybody is because you have your tax, everybody has his own schedule for the day, and you know what you're doing, and everybody meets up, because for us, it's all about speed and accuracy in our own sector. There's no room. Mr.
Lawley, do you share his
Interesting, comrade. One of the sectors that you come from is the aviation sector, and it's one of the sectors that don't even allow us to be productive. If you go,
fantastic.
If you want to
Thank
go take a flight
in
Nigeria,
are you buying down your face now?
When I buy a plane, when I buy a plane ticket, I have stopped imagining when I would fly. I just go to the airport knowing, okay, I bought the ticket. I ensure my battery is full, and I can listen to music, and my belly is full. So I just sit down. People have bought tickets I personally have bought tickets for 10 a.m. and I fly at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. I've gone to several African countries.
And I'll tell you why.
I've gone to more than 20 African countries. Nigeria is the only country I've been to that local flights are this delayed. I've been to Kenya, I've been to Ghana, I've been to Cameroon, I've been to Gambia, I can name it. I've been to all these countries, and I've flown locally within these countries. And Nigeria is the only country that flights are this delayed, and they don't even care. They don't even care. They leave you hanging there.
So that affects productivity.
Yeah, affects productivity generally.
Okay. Very quickly, too, I want you to an urgent question in terms of.
That.
Yes, you will answer that. But I also want to ask one other question so that you can answer it together. Okay. There's a tweet from I think Sebastian that I just saw, and I said, "How can Nigerians workers are not productive because there's nothing to produce?" That's another school of thought. Really? Can we take it from that angle that Nigerians were not productive because we are not like a manufacturing economy or a productive, we're a consuming economy? Can his tweet is it? But anyway, answer that then.
Okay, you see, I quite agree with you. Every day as an aviator, I'm ashamed of what is happening in my sector. And it's not only in the aviation sector, in telecoms, in oil and gas, in educational sector, in the health sector. It's a national problem. The point here is that how will an airline survive? For example, now you want to compare maybe Arik, Aero, and Emirates. They buy fuel for less than 30 cents. We buy fuel at some point for over $1. How do you compete? They have infrastructure on ground. They have a maintenance facility. If your aircraft is bad, you just move to the next hangar, you get it fixed within an hour or so. Here, you have to bring in the expertise because there's no local capacity to carry out certain tax, multiple taxation. The airlines have been complaining over the years. Multiple designation. You see, you have to create the enabling environment for the airlines to first of all survive. If they don't survive, then there are no workers.
So are you saying in your perspective, it's the larger economic
yes, it is. You see, but now
ecosystem that doesn't support productivity?
It's all over. It's not just in the East, all over the country. Things are just choked up. The environment is so hostile. Now,
the NLC and the TUC even asking for the minimum wage. Are they also after the productivity of Nigerian public workers? Because those days, I don't know if it has changed now, perhaps because of the this new administration, 8 o'clock everybody resumes. Before, it doesn't used to be 8 o'clock, or perhaps after some time you see the ministry workers. Because those days, I think, I even think up till now, they will say, oh, get a ministry job, at least for a woman too. They will say, get a ministry job. Sorry, guys, you know, but that's the reputation. They have get a ministry job because they feel that they have a lot of time. I don't know if that has changed. You know, so is the NLC and the TUC also pursuing that, the productivity of their workers? Yeah?
I think I don't believe so, to be frank. But I think it's also one of the larger issues that they need to look into. I agree with Comrade who also mentioned that there are larger issues in the economy that allows people to be unproductive. Imagine someone coming from Nyanya Karo side and leaves his house at a certain time, wants to get to work early, and then there's a traffic gridlock, and he's unable to predict when he would get to the office. The next day, he wakes up earlier, and again, the same thing happens. He's unable to predict.
Taking Lagos, for example, 5 o'clock in the morning,
we have people who jumped on the road at 5 a.m. If you go to New York, even though people live in Long Island, they live in Brooklyn, they know if I leave my house at 7:15, I jump on the train, I take 2 trains and I walk at 8:15 every day for 10 years. It will not miss. In Nigeria, it's not so. So you have these also larger issues. I've been to several federal ministries that there is no light. They're working in very harrowing condition. The light is off. People have to
climb to the 10th floor with their
I was at the national airport one day when we just arrived, and the lady at the counter who was stamping people's passports, there was only one fan, and it had it turned towards her. And people were complaining that how would you not have the fan turned towards the customers? Yeah. When it got to my turn, I asked the lady, and she said, we the workers contributed and bought this fan. You people come and go, you spend 10 minutes at the airport.
Which airport was that?
In Lagos. You people spend 10 minutes here and go. We are here every day, morning till night. When we made requisition to have a fan, to have the AC working, it wasn't working. We, with our money, we bought our own fan. So it has to be turned to us. You are only passing through for 20 minutes. So sometimes when you put yourself into the condition that these workers go through, sometimes you pity them, you pity the condition of work that they face, but you also need to understand the larger issue that productivity is low, and there are ways that we can even increase it despite these conditions. You know,
this is actually so broadening, and I think on another edition of the program, I will take a look at the productivity of the Nigerian worker.
And I will also tell you this for free. You see, this is why we started the Nigerian Rebirth Project. There's a need for a paradigm shift in all sectors across the whole country. Even the way we even drive our cars, the way we even treat each other, the health sector, aviation sector, where I come from, educational sector, there's a need for a rebirth. We need to change in all, because, I mean, Nigerians, we have no reason to be where we are.
Okay, just very quickly, we have 2 minutes to the end of the show. What I asked earlier on, that I got a tweet, can we actually be productive if we don't produce anything? I productivity think perhaps was gotten from the word produce.
I think that government is largely about service, and the government is enabler. I mean, so many times government looks at laws and ensures that the society conforms to such laws. If you look at the national police, they're meant to maintain law and order. They're not meant to produce anything. If you look at the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, they're meant to ensure that the trade and investment of the nation grows. I mean, ensure that people are able to trade and invest. So they don't necessarily have to produce things, but to ensure that the productivity at that level is at optimum.
And the service delivery is also a product, as it were.
Yeah, so I think that if a government service, if you look, and there are many data that they can use to compare. Ease of doing business in Nigeria is very low. And we can jack that up very quickly.
Okay, very quickly. Your view.
You see, for my view, you see, it's very, very simple. when you say being productive, most people think it's putting a factory. I mean, go to Israel. They don't have that much factory, but they run the world from their office. Idea is also production. When you solve problems, you must not necessarily go to a factory or break a rock or do hard labor. I think Nigerians are very, very intelligent in nature, globally. I mean, I've done courses in the US,
also think so
in the UK
Yeah.
with guys from Germany, US, France, and trust me, we beat them most times in the class. But the point is this.
The environment is
aside your
encouraging.
physical strength, I mean, we need to begin to use our brain to solve problems, then we can be more productive.
Many thanks, gentlemen, for coming on the program today. I wish you a lovely day, so thank you for your insights.
Thank you very much.
All right, I've been speaking with Rotimi Olawale, who is the Executive Director at Youth Hub Africa, and Comrade Bellamy Isaac David, the National Coordinator of the Nigerian Reverse Group, also a member of the Air Pilots.
National President for Aircraft Pilot and Engineers.
Okay, I hope you go back and effect what he said
so
that they don't delay our flights again. All right, many thanks, gentlemen, for coming on the show. All right, that's the much we can take. Many thanks for your tweets. I couldn't take more because of the time constraint, but please join us again tomorrow, as usual, on this channel at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., where we'll keep you up to the minute with business, finance, economic, and investment information. Like I always say, be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. I am Nancy Ilo. God bless Nigeria. Bye now.